Now then, get your equipment, your quiver and bow, and go out to the open country to hunt some wild game. Genesis 27:3.
Well, hey everybody, welcome back to Food for the Plot. If you're new here, my name is Garrett, and this is an outdoor podcast where we talk about land, wildlife, stewardship, conservation, hunting, and the deeper meaning behind why we do what we do out here. Today, we're diving into something that every turkey hunter has an opinion on: public land versus private land turkey hunting. Now, if you spend any time chasing longbeards, you already know that these are two completely different games. Same bird, completely different chess match. And just to give a little perspective, according to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, Ohio hunters typically harvest around 15,000 to 20,000 turkeys each spring season. A big chunk of that comes off of public land, but success rates are almost always higher on private. That kind of tells you the story right there. Public land gives you the opportunity, private increases your odds. And I've had the chance to hunt both. I've had success on both, depending on how you measure success. I've struggled on both, and I've definitely learned some lessons the hard way on both. So today, I want to break this down into the differences, the pros and cons of each, tactics that work better depending on where you're hunting, and I'll sprinkle in some personal stories along the way. At the end of the day, it's not about which one is better, it's about understanding how to adapt and be successful in either situation. So let's get into it. At the most basic level, the difference between public and private land turkey hunting comes down to one thing: pressure. That's it. Public land equals high hunting pressure, private land equals typically lower pressure. And that pressure changes everything about how turkeys behave. In some states, studies have shown that public land hunters can make up to 70% of total hunters in a given area. That means birds on public land might hear dozens of different calling sequences in just the first week of the season. It doesn't take them long to wise up. On private land, turkeys act like, well, turkeys. They gobble more, they follow predictable routines, and they use the same roost and strut zones. On public land, however, these suckers have got PhDs in survival. They get call shy, they go quiet, they avoid open areas during hunting hours, and they'll pattern you. Sometimes it feels like you're not even hunting a bird anymore, you're hunting something non-existent. Let's dive into private land. Number one, less pressure. This is the biggest advantage. If you're the only one, or one of a few, people hunting at a property, birds aren't getting called at every morning. They're not constantly bumped, and they don't associate calling with danger as quickly. This is how every one of my hunts with my family friend have been. The birds are very vocal, they respond to calls, and they're workable. Number two, ability to pattern birds. On private, you can scout consistently, run trail cameras if you want, and watch fields in the evenings. By doing so, you start to learn where they roost, where they strut, and where they like to travel mid-morning. Now, don't get me wrong, realistically you can do most, if not all of those things on public land, but it requires a special circumstance. Take me, for example. I live in an area of Ohio where there really aren't any turkeys, so I either opt to tag along with a family friend down in Hillsboro, which is about an hour and a half away from where I live, or I travel down to the southeastern part of the state and hunt public land, which is about 2.5 hours away from where I live. No matter what, I have to travel. I can't just be there every morning and night trying to figure out where they're roosting. It's tough. Having private land with turkeys on it is the cat's meow, so to speak. I've had much more success when going down to Hillsboro to hunt private land because it's already been scouted by someone who lives there and can observe every single day. That's a huge advantage. Number three, habitat control. On private land, you can actually improve turkey habitat. Food plots, prescribed burning, timber work, nesting cover. You're not just hunting turkeys, you're helping create better habitat for them, which will become better hunting for long term. This is something I'm trying to implement out at the farm right now. There are a handful of turkeys running around, but they definitely don't live there, and when seen, are obviously just strolling through. This year, I'm letting one of my food plots go untouched throughout the whole year until fall. In it, it has wheat, rye, and brassicas for the deer. I'm not going to mow it at all. Instead, I'm just going to let it grow tall and mature eventually into seed heads. That plot should end up being an awesome nesting spot for any hen turkeys that may come through the area, as well as a great spot for fawns to seek shelter. And it ties into something bigger too. Organizations like the National Wild Turkey Federation have helped restore turkey populations across the country through habitat work and conservation efforts. So, when you're improving land, you're actually contributing to something that's been decades in the making. Number four, higher odds of success. Let's just be honest. All things equal, your odds are usually better on private land. Plain and simple. That doesn't mean it's easy, but you've got fewer variables working against you. Now let's go ahead and move into some challenges when it comes to hunting private land. First off, birds can get patterned too. If you hunt the same birds too aggressively, they catch on. They change patterns and they'll shut down, especially later in the season. Secondly, it's limited ground. You may only have one farm or one property to hunt. If birds aren't there or aren't cooperating, you don't have many, if any, backup options at all. Lastly, access issues for some folks. Not everyone has private land. You've either got to own it, lease it, or get permission, and unfortunately, that's just getting harder and harder every year. Now let's flip to public land, starting with the advantages. Number 1, access. This is the biggest one. Anybody can go, no permission needed, no lease, no ownership, and honestly, there's something special about that. That's one thing I really love about going to southeastern Ohio to hunt public. I can go just about anywhere. Of course, you've got to be paying attention because there's the occasional property or two scattered throughout, but for the most part, you can just walk and still be on public land. It's awesome. Number 2, unlimited ground. This ties right into access. Public land gives you options, multiple properties, and thousands of acres sometimes. And here in Ohio specifically, we're blessed with some really solid public land options if you're willing to travel a bit. Places like the Wayne National Forest down in southeastern Ohio, Zaleski State Forest, known for good turkey numbers, Shawnee State Forest, which has some big woods, and Salt Fork Wildlife Area, which has a mix of habitat that can hold birds. These places give you room to roam, but they'll test you too. If one spot isn't working, you can move. That mobility is huge. Number 3, less predictable equals more rewarding. When you harvest a bird on public, it just hits different because you know that bird has probably been hunted before, that bird has probably heard bad calling, and more than likely, that bird has been pressured, yet you still get it done. Number 4, public land makes you a better hunter. It forces you to read sign better, move more, think differently, and adapt constantly. It sharpens your skills fast. Like I've mentioned, I've had the pleasure of hunting on private land with a family friend and also have put in some serious time turkey hunting public land. Hunting with the family friend in Hillsboro on private, I really didn't have to do much. There was no scouting on my part. I just went where I was told, sat back, let him do the calling, and I waited for the opportunity to harvest a gobbler. But hunting on public, I put in some serious time doing my own homework, using OnX to scout from a bird's eye view, so to speak, picking out spots that I thought would be good, driving down and roosting birds while looking for sign, calling on my own, moving constantly when I realized that it wasn't a good spot, etc. Just by hunting on my own, on public, and putting in all the work, it taught me a lot really quickly. Now for the tough part, public land challenges. Number 1, hunting pressure. This is a big one. You might deal with multiple hunters in the same area, guys calling from different directions, and birds getting bumped constantly. Really, it's no different than deer hunting on public land. It's hard. That's one big thing I remember from last year's trip to public land. I even went later in turkey season, yet it didn't matter. There were still hunters everywhere. On the very first night, we attempted to roost birds, and being sort of inexperienced, I thought I heard a hen responding to my calls. What I quickly realized, though, was that there was another hunter trying to roost birds too, and we were essentially calling back and forth to each other. It's funny to look back at now, and it makes me laugh, but in the moment, I was really frustrated and embarrassed. Number 2, call shy birds. Public land birds often won't gobble much, they hang up, and quite often come in silent. If you're expecting a run and gobbling hunt, you might be disappointed. This was something I learned last year to be cautious about. It was about a 3-day trip, and on the last day, we were at a new spot that looked promising. Sitting in an open area, there was a deer trail nearby, and early that morning, we had a doe walk right by at 40 yards. In the open area, there was plenty of turkey sign, leaves raked away from scratching, and acorns scattered everywhere. Sitting there, I heard a turkey very quietly yelp from that deer trail. I was dumbfounded. Not once had we heard a turkey all morning, let alone the entire trip. In the excitement, I scrambled to get my gun up and get ready, and probably a little too noisy for the turkey's liking. And whatever it was, hen, Jake, or Tom, it quietly snuck away. I had been busted. That bird came in essentially undetected, and I assume yelped at my hen and Jake decoys. That moment taught me a lot. On public land, you've got to expect birds to come in silent. Keep your head on a swivel and expect the unexpected. Number 3, competition. You might get beat to a spot. You might have someone set up on the same bird, or even hear shots where you plan to hunt. Unfortunately, it's all part of the game. Plan on getting in early, and then subtract that by a whole nother hour. That's when you want to get in if you want to beat everyone else. Yes, it's going to suck sitting in the dark for that long, but it may just be the reason you're successful. Number 4, safety awareness. This one is huge. You always have to be aware of other hunters, movement, and calling situations. You're not alone out there. Accidents happen every year, every day. Always know, without a shadow of doubt, what you're shooting at and what your target is. Always be listening. If you hear or see another hunter coming close to you, make an unmistakable human noise and let them know that you're there, or even just yell out. Yeah, you're running the risk of ruining your hunt, but at the end of the day, a ruined hunt is much better than being mistaken for a turkey and getting shot. As for the calling situations, just listen very carefully. More often than not, you can tell the difference between a real turkey and someone calling. Don't be too quick to move towards the calling, rather just call back and wait and see what happens. Now let's get into the strategy differences between public and private land hunting. This is where things really matter. For private land, roost birds consistently, set up close but smart, call more aggressively if needed, use decoys more confidently, and be patient. Birds will often work. Private land is more about executing a plan. For public land, you've got to have a completely different mindset. Cover ground, strike birds versus waiting, call less and smarter, expect silent approaches, and set up quickly and efficiently. Sometimes the best call is no call at all. There are some really great YouTube videos out there that show examples of both of these. One of my favorite YouTube channels to watch is The Hunting Public. They are very, very good at calling less and setting up quickly and efficiently, and that's why they have so much success on public land. I also watch a lot of Seek 1 videos, and assuming that they're mainly hunting on private land, it's clear that they're really good at calling aggressively. In one of their most recent turkey hunting videos, Lee is trying to get his buddy his first gobbler, and the tom that they're working just wouldn't commit. He was leery and not coming in, but responding to Lee's yelps. Lee got aggressive with it, and as soon as the tom responded by gobbling, Lee cut him off with a series of cuts, and this repeated a few times. That was the golden ticket, and that bird came right in, and his buddy got his first gobbler. It was an awesome video and an incredible example of how aggressive calling can and will work. The key mindset for hunting private is, I know where this bird should be, and on public is, I need to figure out where this bird went. So which one is better? Honestly, neither. They're just different. Private land gives you control. Public land gives you opportunity. Some of the best hunters I know can do both, and that's really the goal. If you're new to turkey hunting, don't get discouraged on public land, and don't take private land for granted. If you can hunt both, you're setting yourself up to become a well-rounded hunter. No matter where you're at, you're chasing the same bird that nearly disappeared in the early 1900s and made one of the greatest wildlife comebacks in North America. That alone is pretty incredible. At the end of the day, it's not about public versus private. It's about learning the bird, respecting the hunt, and enjoying every single sunrise in the woods. I appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of Food for the Plot. If you enjoyed this one, share it with a buddy, drop a review, and let me know what you want to hear next. And if you've got your own public versus private land stories, I'd love to hear them. Until next time, get out there, enjoy the woods, and I'll catch you on the next one. Stick with it.